Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Well, a good day to all of you. Thank you for joining us inside The Lock Shop once again. Nielson and Hus, brought to you by our wonderful partners at Coolbet. Sign up for an account today. Use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, all part of the Nielson Media Coolbet Network. We got some puck picks tonight in the National Hockey League. One game we're both on. Those usually go well. Hus is going to set up the Brier. I'm going to give you some picks for futures Formula One with the season, and of course the first race this weekend as well. So we've got lots to get to, but this is a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins edition of the Lock Shop. Hus, I love that. I love that you want to give him love.
Dusty, I made a point of tuning into your program for a bit this morning because I knew, as much as there's trades happening every 15 minutes in the league and everything's happening at the same time, it was all about Nuge beating the bleep out of hole last night in the game. Listen, I was watching that. First of all, Oilers looked amazing. Did you? And you hit the exclusive, right?
Actually, yeah, I just forgot we're going to mention that. Plus 540, McDavid goal, McDavid assist, Oilers win over 6.5. A no sweat cash on a plus 540 exclusive.
Yeah, no, that was a hell of a pick by you yesterday. And I mean, the game itself was really impressive for Edmonton. Ekholm, what did I tell you? The guy's a horse, looked awesome on that blue line.
He
played
did.
About 20 minutes. But I did not know that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had that club in his bag. He beat the piss out of that guy, who is huge. I guess Nugent's fought like once every 3 years. I saw somewhere.
Yeah.
This is like his fourth career fight. You need that sort of thing every now and then for guys to step up and guys that you don't expect to step up that way. And that was, I wasn't surprised that it got as much run on the Nielsen show this morning. But I'll tell you what, overall, that was sort of what everyone was talking about. But overall, pretty impressive performance by the Edmonton Oilers, who, of course, we will see here in Winnipeg on Saturday night after the Jets and Oilers go at it Friday night after trade deadline is completed. And, oh, by the way, more trades. Boston loading up, Tyler Bertuzzi, Asta signs. Oh, and the Coyotes have made a move as well, acquiring the contract of Jake Voracek. What a Ponzi scheme.
They did get him, hey? Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny because Gary Bettman goes, the NHL is going to heavily scrutinize putting everybody because of cap circumvention. But you got an entire organization that literally is circumventing the cap by just getting to the floor with all the... It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that the National Hockey League allows the Coyotes to continue to do this while they play in a 5,000-seat arena, which is laughable for the National Hockey League. It just doesn't... Buddy, it's pathetic. It's pathetic.
It's the biggest embarrassment in all of professional sports. I don't think there's anything even close to what's going on in Arizona right now. Yeah, they're going to need to discuss this a little bit more because, I mean, I know they're still planning on they're going to get a rink and all that. We've been hearing that for 20 years, Dusty. And I mean, and at the same time, the Rangers tonight, listen to this. I don't know if you caught this one. Let me find this. Remus sent this to me a little earlier. So the Rangers have been deemed ineligible by the league for emergency recall. With Lindgren still out and Miller under suspension, they're going 12-5 for tonight's game against the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, Oilers have played 11-6 this year. I mean, it's the sacrifice you make to be right up against the cap. But like, it's funny, like the Bruins today. With Bertuzzi, like they couldn't actually make the Bertuzzi trade until Taylor Hall went on LTIR. So I'm amazed that we've had as much deadline action as we have this year, considering 20% of the league or 20 teams in the league, 65% of the league, 66% of the league right up against it. Like teams have actually been pretty creative.
Oh, well, listen, I think that's a big reason why things have happened a little earlier than normal. They knew that there was going to be a bunch of things that needed to take place in order to make some of these deals happen. And to the general managers that have been active, credit to them for finding a way to get it done. Although it does stink a little bit. I mean, I'm just surprised you're suggesting that the Taylor Hall LTIR has anything to do with the Bertuzzi trade. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's totally Totally allowed. You are right, though. I mean, I didn't even think you were exaggerating. The Arizona Coyotes, considering their situation for so long now, they're playing in this small arena with atmosphere, whatever. It's still not a good look. If it was a CFL, people would be losing their mind. And all they do is pick up contracts of players who can't play anymore. Like, tell me an organization in any professional sport in North America that's a bigger joke than the Arizona Coyotes. There isn't one. I don't even think it's close. It's a runaway. I mean, I can't even think of who else to put in there.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I can't think of who would even be contending with them. And we should mention the Chychrun deal because, of course, the reason why reportedly he went to Ottawa was that other teams needed the Coyotes to take some sort of salary back, and they didn't want to take $1. They just wanted to trade one of their best players and get nothing back except for future picks. And the picks weren't as good from Ottawa that other teams were offering.
Yeah, the Oilers offered more.
Yeah. Back. I mean, by all accounts, I guess the Jets were in on him too, and they got out on Wednesday morning. Potentially could have been because of some of the players that are maybe prospects or picks that have already been picked by the Winnipeg Jets that they wanted back. And I do get it. Like, I think of all the teams that were in, the Ottawa pick projects to be the best one this year.
Yeah.
And I know it's top 5 protected, but this is a deep draft. I mean, if it's a top 10 pick, it's still quite good. And then the 2 second rounders. But I just can't believe after all of the smoke we've heard, and how many times have the insiders mentioned the name Jacob Chychrun in the last 18 months? Thousands.
Over, under 5,000. Like, it's all the time.
And then for it to end with a first rounder in 2 seconds, pretty underwhelming return. But I'll say this for Ottawa, heck of a move.
It's a good
He's
pickup.
A great young player that I think fits in perfectly within their mix. You got Giroux for a couple more years there. You're looking to try to extend to Brinkat. You've got a great young core with Stützle and Brady Tkachuk. So it was an aggressive move by Pierre Dorion. I mean, they might regret it somewhat come draft day when there'll be a great player on the board that ends up going to the Coyotes. But credit to them for doing it. And here in Winnipeg, we'll be talking about that today on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Listen, I love the Niederreiter acquisition for a second rounder. He's got a year of term next year. Very difficult job for Chevy right now. I mean, there's lots of guys with Winnipeg on their no trade list. But I just think that it's been a little quieter here right now because of the direction of the team over the last little bit. And I think that, if this deadline was 3 weeks ago, we might have been talking about a far more aggressive general manager. But I just think that the play of the team as of late has not inspired the confidence to really push all in right now and forego some important pieces of your future that you have to give up to make these trades. So we got about another 24 hours. It'll be very interesting. Looking forward to having you jump on WST tomorrow. We won't be doing a lock chop because you're going to go extended on your program. We're going to do an extended WST, but after 2 p.m. Winnipeg time, 1 o'clock Edmonton, Dusty and I will chop it up.
And in the morning, if you're still good, hop on my show. So,
yes, that's great.
So
I'm glad
it's
you
like 2 mini lock shops in different markets tomorrow. So that's good. All right, let's dive into the NHL slate tonight. Then we'll get to the Brier and some Formula One action for the season and for this weekend as well. Hus plus 389 parlay tonight, and you're on the bounce back from the Maple Leafs tonight, are you?
Yeah. Well. People in Winnipeg are probably looking at this knowing exactly what I'm doing here. This is a bit of a we're hoping here on this one. Look, I thought the Leafs stunk last night. I don't think they showed very well. I think they're a much better team than they played against the Edmonton Oilers, and I think they will be much better tonight. Problem for Toronto is that they're going in second night of back-to-back games against a very hungry Calgary team that hasn't been getting the results, but man, they are playing hard right now. They're getting a ton of shots on net. They're going to need to be able to make some saves. But when it comes down to it, I just think Toronto's a much better team than Calgary. And I think they have it in them to kind of move on from a pretty disappointing night, getting shellacked by the Oilers, and getting right back at it the next night. And we're basically looking at an even money number at minus 102. So I am putting Toronto on the card tonight. The 2 games that I feel the best about, though, are the Minnesota Wild. I know you've got Minnesota as well on the card. I was just I thought that number would be higher. Now, I'm not sure whether maybe the bookies think that the Philip Hronik acquisition by the Vancouver Canucks was something that was going to give a big boost to Vancouver. All I know is that Minnesota's trending in the right direction. Kirill Kaprizov is leading the way for their team as the superstar on that roster. And they're right in the middle of this incredible playoff race in the West with so many teams so close within a couple points of each other. So I'm going to take the Minnesota Wild -160 in Vancouver. And then the other game that, to be honest, I think this number should probably be higher is the Florida Panthers at -192 against what is left of the Nashville Predators. We've talked a lot about the deals. Granlund traded yesterday as well. Ekholm traded as well. The Preds are into next year's season. Be very interesting to see how that just affects their team and the way they come out each night. But they've pretty much thrown up the white flag. That never is good for a team. And the Panthers, for their part, came back with maybe their biggest win of the season in their last time out.
Yeah.
It was so huge. They're in a playoff spot. They're in a playoff race right now. Sorry, like a playoff game. Every single game is a playoff. They have to have it. I think they'll be much better tonight. So yeah, I mean, the Leaf pick is the one that's maybe a little bit more aggressive with a better number. But we're going to put those three together on a parlay of +389 today and hopefully get back in the win column with the 3-gamer.
Yeah, I'm hopping on that Minnesota money line as well. They've been so tight defensively over this last stretch. They've won 6 of 7. They've only allowed more than 2 goals once in their last 7 games. They're winning games 3-1, 3-2, 2-1, 2-0. So, if you look at playing that playoff style hockey that you're talking about, Hus, that's what the Minnesota Wild have done and what they've bought into right now. So I like them tonight, -160. I'm going to get on the Habs here. Puck line +1.5, -118. They're coming off a win over San Jose. LA is on the first game back after a 5-game road trip. Didn't have enough balls to go and take Montreal money line to win this game, but I think Montreal to keep it close, +1.5. LA's coming off that game against Winnipeg, which was a wild one, and returning home after being gone for 10 days. So I think Montreal +1.5 at -118 is pretty decent value there. And then we get on Dallas in regulation at -145 against the Chicago team that no longer has their go-to guy in Pat Kane. Not that Kane was having a remarkable season by any stretch of the imagination. He turned it around a little bit lately. But the last 2 games for the Chicago Blackhawks, 4-2 loss to Anaheim, 4-1 loss to Arizona. So they've lost multiple goals to 2 of the worst teams in the National Hockey League. Dallas in regulation tonight at -145, as they obviously have a lot on the line in this game against the Chicago team. So -145, Dallas in regulation. Minnesota money line -160. Montreal +1.5 at -118. It's +407. UChaz has it. All 6 games combined +1450. So that's where that sits at right now if you want to ride the 6-pack.
5-gamer today.
5-gamer, that's right. 5-gamer. You're right. Yeah,
we are both on them. So yeah, I mean, like these next couple games. By the way, the Dallas game, that's a big revenge game as well because of course they blew a 3-0 lead at home last week.
That's
Chicago,
right.
And ended up losing in regulation.
Well, maybe we get on Dallas -1.5 and say, what is that? What's the number of -1.5 right now for Dallas? Let's see here, +102. So that'll get you plus money if you like them at -1.5 instead. So there you go. There's the plays tonight in the National Hockey League. We'll be talking Oilers and Jets both on my show and Hustler's show tomorrow. Brier getting going here as well, Hus.
Hey, just quickly before we get to the Brier, what's the over-under on number of trades still to be made in the National Hockey League before the deadline? I mean, there'll be a bunch of deals before, but like often on trade deadline day, we've seen like 20 and 25 trades made. I'm not sure that there's enough supply left in the league to still be moved around. I mean, so many teams have made multiple significant moves so far. I have a feeling it might be quieter. Every time there's a trade, I just laugh and think about what James Duthie says when he looks at his phone and another guy's off their board.
That would suck. Well, if I set the number at 10.5, would you take the over or under?
Yeah, I'd take the over for sure. I'd take the over for sure because, as I say, I think there'll be teams like Winnipeg that might not be making massive moves, but, you know, picking up guys with a little bit of salary left that teams might be willing to move for late round picks or prospects that maybe don't figure into the NHL future going forward. But I'll tell you
Be
what,
quieter than most days, though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I think so.
Yeah.
But overall, this has been maybe the best trade deadline period we've seen in a decade.
Long time.
So many big trades.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Hey, Connor McDavid has a chance tomorrow night against the Jets to score 2 goals in a 6th consecutive game. Has not happened in the last 100 years. Where are they at defensively right now, Hus? Because I have a feeling McDavid's going to want to get that. That'd be 2 goals in 6 straight. You have to go back to Punch Broadbent in 2021, 2021 for the last time somebody did this.
Oh, I wish you didn't tell me that. The the Jets, we have a long running joke here that if there is a milestone to be had, it's going to happen against the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, if you look back, there has been some big records and milestones set against Winnipeg historically. This is a more unique one. That being said, I wouldn't be betting against Connor McDavid to get another couple. I'm sure he knows about it. And the guy is just next level right now. I mean, if we ever see another player in our lifetimes that we can compare to McDavid, we'll be lucky. He is just otherworldly. And I don't know, you guys screwed up enough of those number 1 overall picks over the years. It was bound to work some point, but impossible to screw up.
He's on pace for 68 goals at 156 points, which is 1980 numbers.
There'll be a Cool Bet exclusive tomorrow, I'm sure, with McDavid to have 2 goals on it from this guy here.
I'll take care of that. Yeah, it's confusing on the screen. That's it is weird. All right, Hus, Brier. I mean, you hit that nice Scotties finals futures. What do you got for the Brier? What are you laying out for us?
Yeah, not quite as long of a number on my suggested final, but here's the way it's looking right now. Going into it, Brad Gushue, defending champ, Team Canada, plus 105 to repeat as the champs. The new look Brendan Bottcher team as wild card 1. Surprisingly, they lost Alberta to Kevin Cooey, but they are still ranked significantly higher than Cooey, who has such a great run of experience at this event. 2-1. And a team that I like to get to the finals is Matt Dunstone and Manitoba. Dunstone to finish top 2 is plus 105. I do like that. I'll be putting a sprinkle on Dunstone to win the whole thing at plus 325. As I just go to my bet history here and make sure we've got these all right. A Canada-Manitoba final, which, funny enough, is the exact same pick from the Scotties.
Yeah,
Canada
that's right.
Carey Anderson. Manitoba was Jen Jones. We're going back to the well with the Canada-Manitoba final, albeit not 2 Manitoba teams, at plus 330. And then, as well, as I mentioned, Dunstone plus 325 to win the entire thing. I do like Manitoba. I mean, this Dunstone rink has been lights out all year long. They're not in a pool with Brad Gushue, and I think are the clear favorite because the Bottcher rink's also over on that other side. So minus 111 for Manitoba to win Group A is something that I'm on as well. And then one of the other things that we've got available in the Cool Bet in the futures is total wins in the round robin. Now it's the same thing as the women. They'll play 8 games. And one of the I think there's a nice value on Mike McEwen's Ontario rink. And I see this has moved slightly in the past little bit. Over 4.5 wins for Ontario in the pool at minus 127. When you look at the favorites, the numbers are pretty high. I mean, Brad Gushue over 6.5. I mean, basically it was 7-1 is minus 213. That's a real chalky number. The Bottcher number to go over 6.5 to get 7 wins, and that includes potentially a loss to Brad Gushue at minus 128. The Reed Carruthers number, he's at wild card number 2. Over 4.5 is minus 345. But to get to 6 wins in the round robin is plus 130. Reed's a good friend to the show, so we might jump on that right there. And then they do have exact finishing positions as well for silver, bronze, and fourth. Just going back, I just wanted to find out that Manitoba number for the pool wins. Yeah, over 6.5 is minus 132 for Manitoba. And if you think they can run the table and go 8-0, it's plus 440. But I do like Mike McEwen, Ontario, over 4.5 for pool wins for the event. And as I mentioned, a Canada-Manitoba exact final matchup, which, I don't know, maybe I'm moving lines here. It was 3:30 when I put it in about an hour ago, and now it's plus 315. So I think that will be a popular selection, but I think it's for a reason. It does kind of feel like we're on a bit of a collision course for Dunstone and Gushue to meet in the final. And I think that the guys that could really mix that up or maybe break that would be the Alberta rinks of Botcher, Kevin Cooey. Although I do like Reed Carruthers' chances to come out. There is qualify from pool play as well. Reed Carruthers at minus 167, I think, is sort of the best value. All the other numbers, Canada minus 2,000, Manitoba minus 1111, Botcher minus 1250, and Cooey over on the other side at minus 566. The one value, as I said, I like Mike McEwen at over 4.5. That's the one plus money number that I think you can get. He and Quebec are both plus 120. They meet in the first match in the first draw.
So that's huge then.
So, at that game, and again, things can change. You can get wins and get big upsets or maybe lose a game, but it does sort of, when you look at the way this thing is handicapped right now, it kind of looks like it'll be Ontario and Quebec for that last spot. But I do like Mike McEwen to win that game, and I do like them. So we'll kind of tab in the McEwen rink at plus 120 to qualify from pool play. But I know Brad Gushue's the favorite. I'm going to be riding with Matt Dunstone at plus 325. But the bet I like the most is plus 330, or I guess now it's plus 315 for those two to meet in the championship game. And as far as the draws go, as we won't have a show tomorrow, McEwen minus 149 against Quebec, who's plus 116 in that first game. And you've got the other wild card rink at a minus 526. Canada, obviously, a huge favorite against BC. But we might actually jump on that spread on the Gushue rink. Their experience, I think, speaks for itself. I think they've got a bit of an advantage against BC in that first one. So minus 132 at minus 3.5 for the first matchup. But as far as one pick for the game, maybe even we'll put that in for our cool bet play of the day, is going to be Ontario minus 149 against Quebec in the first draw tomorrow. We got to wait to see Dunstone taking on Saskatchewan, which is interesting because, of course, he's a Manitoba guy, but had been representing Saskatchewan for the last number of years. Manitoba Sask in the first draw on Saturday, the 1 p.m. games here, and they're a minus 167. Although, man, a 3.5 rock line. We may have to jump on Saskatchewan at minus 141. That's a lot to lay in game one of the Brier, but it's all there. You got plenty of options. Just make sure you get into it before it gets going tomorrow. 6 o'clock Central Time is the first stone. Got to make sure your future bets are in because they're off the board the minute the event starts.
Ladies and gentlemen, Canada's foremost expert in curling, Husarama. Yes, I got that taken care of. Formula One fires back up this weekend as well. I think I'm on episode 5 of season 5 of Drive to Survive. Excellent look at last year behind the scenes. It's been phenomenal so far. They got me very excited for this weekend. Futures bets are up right now. Pretty decent selection. And then the Bahrain Grand Prix is happening this weekend. Those are up as well. And of course, those will adjust. If you're new to Formula One betting, those will adjust through the week, right? We get practice and then we get qualifying. So those numbers will move around throughout the week. I said on the Pit Stop Pals, which is my smash hit Formula One podcast with Joaquin Gage earlier in the week. I said the best number you're going to find on Max Verstappen to win the entire thing this year was at minus 151 at Cool Bet. That's already moved. That's now at minus 162. So it's already trending up. This should be minus 200. I mean, he dominated the field last year. He took the fun out of it in the second half because he was so dominant. So you're getting him right now at 161, I think, minus 161 or minus 162. That's the play. That's still the play. I know it's not plus money number, but that's the play. If he is anywhere close to as good as he was last year, he could possibly run away with this thing again. You can go online right now and go teammates head to head, like which teammate finishes with more points. And most of them, there's really no surprises. But I'm gonna take a look at McLaren and Lando Norris. Lando Norris is a stud. We know it. The McLaren car last year was a disappointment. Danny Ricciardo was a mess. He's now the third driver at Red Bull. McLaren's car this year through testing appears to be even worse than the one that they had last year. And but they have brought in somebody who on this Drive to Survive has been described as possibly the next Max Verstappen, and Oscar Piastri. So he's going to be the number 2 driver with Lando Norris. And like, if the car is garbage this year, I wonder if there's some frustration that kicks in here with Lando Norris throughout the year, because he wants to be in one of these elite teams, right? That's why he went to McLaren. For Piastri, who by all accounts is a stud and a future champion, this is his first crack at it. Like, I don't think he cares what the car is going to be like. Like, he's going to be in all year. So if you're looking for some value here, Piastri's plus 220 to finish with more points than Lando Norris. And I wonder if Lando's given F level falls off at some point this year. So you got the hot rookie.
70 now.
Everybody is at 270 now. Everybody wants to see this guy. He's won on the F3. He's won on F2. There was some controversy last year because Alpine put out a tweet saying he's going to drive for us next year. And he tweeted and said, actually, I haven't signed with you guys. So that's still up in the air. Then McLaren scoops in and grabs him. And now he's going to ride shotgun alongside Lando Norris. So of all the guys who are plus money dogs in the head-to-head team matchups, I think there's a storyline there with Piastri at plus 220. And then for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Go
ahead,
Hus.
Hus.
Quickly ask you a question, because this is not my area of expertise. Do they get the same cars? Like, are both teammates driving the exact same thing?
That's the thing with for example, Ferrari right now. The Ferrari car appears to be designed more towards Carlos Sainz's style of driving as opposed to Charles Leclerc's, and Charles Leclerc is already frustrated about it. So yeah, for the most part, it's the exact same car, very close to the same car. Depending on when they do upgrades and certain things and stuff, they can be different throughout the season, but they're not designing the cars specifically for each driver.
Why is Lewis Hamilton only 167 against George Russell? He's the second ranked driver at 5-1 to win the whole thing.
I think that's probably because people are waiting to see when Mercedes makes Russell kind of the number 1 guy. And it was happening a little bit last year. Because what's the number on Russell right now? Plus 125 or something like that?
Yeah, plus 125 head-to-head versus Hamilton minus 167. And as far as to win the whole thing, Verstappen's the big favorite. But Hamilton and Leclerc are
the number 2 there, yeah.
And Russell's 8-1.
I guess it's probably just how they expect him to manage the team this year, and think that maybe Russell gets a little bit of a push. Now we'll get a read on a lot of this here with Bahrain happening this weekend. 2 things here: the qualifying number for Max Verstappen to finish first in qualifying, it's plus 120. I don't know how many times, even in qualifying, you're going to see a plus 120 number anywhere near Max Verstappen's name this year. So Verstappen to take the pole after qualifying in Bahrain, I don't mind that at plus 120. And then there's been a lot of talk about the longtime veteran, 2-time champion, Fernando Alonso, who moved this year from Alpine to Aston Martin. The Aston Martin car in testing was going extremely well. Many people thinking that Aston Martin could actually push up to be that 4th team. Last year it was McLaren and Alpine. This year Aston Martin is got a really good car. You throw a Fernando Alonso in there. It's kind of a sexy pick. If you follow a lot of other Formula One blogs and things like that, people like Alonso to be on the podium this weekend. And you can get Alonso on the podium, I think, right now at plus 250 to finish top 3. So it would kind of be like a burst onto the scene for Aston Martin. So things would probably have to go bad for Ferrari to make that happen, but lots went bad for Ferrari last year, so I could see that following up as well. So a couple of things you can get on.
I'm just looking at this board for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and you mentioned the qualifying numbers and how there's more value with Max to get the qualifying number than to win the race. He's a minus 125 favorite to win the whole thing. But George Russell's 15-1 to win the event. Alonso's 20-1. But those numbers are reversed in qualifying. Alonso's number is 15-1 in qualifying, and Russell is 20-1. And I think that probably speaks to what you just said about the way that the car was looking for Alonso going in. He might be able to pull off a nice qualifying run. But once you get into the race, probably outmanned by
really
better
interesting
equipment.
ways you can kind of dive into the Formula One slates. That's for sure. So very excited for this race. Happy to have it back. Another thing to bet on here on weekends when we don't have the National Football League and the CFL hasn't started yet. So lots to get to here on a Thursday episode. No Friday episode, obviously, because we've got trade deadline coverage in Winnipeg and Edmonton. We'll be busy there. But Hus is going to be on the Nielson show, and I'm going to be on Winnipeg Sports Talk. So you'll still get your dose of the Lock Shop. We'll make it work.
Yeah, no doubt it. And we'll tweet out some XFL picks
Yes,
over
we
the course
will.
of the weekend.
Yes, we will.
Still lots going on as we get into the league. But hey, with the Brier and F1 starting right now, we need to hit those priorities today on the Lock Shop.
Yeah.
And heck, let's see. I may have to go with the Wild as our play of the day, considering we both agreed
both on
on
it.
it today. That might be where we roll.
Watch that on all of your CoolBet social feeds. You'll find the Lock Shop play of the day with our partners over at CoolBet. Best of luck on everything this weekend. We'll tweet out our XFL picks from the @LockShopBets Twitter account. So make sure you do that. And if you've just been watching, you've not yet subscribed to the podcast, make sure you subscribe to Lock Shop Podcast so you never miss an episode. Hus, we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Thanks, dude.